From a situationship to a relationship to engagement to getting married and now having a baby together. Hey guys, hope you're well. And in today's video, I'm going to share a success story that is very close to my heart because this is a success story of one of my first few clients. This is a person who has been working with me for a long time. I think we have been working together for the past 2 years. And it is not just because she wasn't able to manifest the things that she wanted. She has manifested everything from starting from the place where she started from to coming to the place where she is now. She just likes having the luxury of my support with her. That is why she keeps on continuing with me. That is why she keeps on carrying on with me. Not as a necessity, but as a luxury. So I will share the story of this client. You will absolutely love it. I am pretty sure that anyone who is in their manifestation journey and is manifesting love will have something to learn from this story. And you, I am pretty sure you will also learn something from this story. So let's understand this in a little bit more detail. So I will first start by sharing what she actually went through. Then I will share when I met this person, what her circumstances were, what were the issues that she was facing, and eventually how her life turned out. So this client, she grew up in a household where when she was young, she had all these resources. She had money, she had influence, all of these things were a part of her life because her father was very wealthy and she had great relationships with her friends. At the age of 11 to 12, their family struggled with something financial. And because of this, she was in a very deep issue with her finances. As she grew up, she spent her whole teenage years in a financial issue. And the issue was as such that her father was not able to provide for them at all, even though he wanted to. Their family was not doing well at all. She was not feeling well. She was not doing okay. All her friendships suffered. Her confidence suffered. She started developing body image issues. She started developing self concept, confidence, love issues. So, this is how her journey started. Now, as she grew up and she started getting into school, college, as she started growing up, she met a few guys. So, she met a guy, and at this time, because she was very vulnerable, she was coming from a place where love was not something that was there at all, because their family was focused on surviving. They were not actually focused on thriving at all. And because their family was primarily focused on surviving, she didn't have time to actually care about relationships. But at this time, she started developing feelings for this guy. And this situation started very well, right? At this start, this started well, but it ended that quickly too. Why? Because this was her first time getting into any kind of a romantic situations, and at this time she was craving for some sort of comfort and support so much that when this guy came into her life and offered her a series of emotions which were very intense, even though they came without commitment, she accepted it, right? But as it went ahead, after a few weeks, I think she started recognizing that this is not what I want. This is where, after this situation, she met one or two guys with whom a similar set of situation happened. And she recognized that she is coming from a place where she is not doing good, not feeling good at all. After this, she met a different guy. Now, with him, the situation was slightly different. By this time, this girl had started to work on herself a little, as she had started to recognize what a relationship should look like, at least a little bit. So she knew that these are things that I really don't want, because that is what she had experienced in the past 2 3 men that she was involved with. As that started to get better, she started to connect with this guy. They started to talk, they started to date, and they started to get into a connection. And as this connection started, at the start, they got into a relationship. This romantic relationship started, it was going well, and because of some family issue, this girl got panicked and sabotaged the relationship. So she's the one who broke up with this person. And this was one time thing. So you will see that this is very common in a lot of relationships. You must have done this yourself, that you will break up, patch up, break up, patch up. This is something I highly recommend not to do, because this is something that creates a lot of, first addiction with rejection, and then you don't really deal with your issues, because as soon as you have an issue, your breakup becomes the solution, right? And then you get back together when you start recognizing your feelings again, but it doesn't really solve the reason why you broke up in the first place. So the word breakup doesn't then mean anything. That is why we end up staying in hot and cold situations. So she broke up with him, and this was something that they used to go through a lot. But this time the guy didn't actually decide to come back to her. and she started to ask for him back. This thing that happened is this guy started connecting with her again, and in her mind she thought that this is going to be a relationship again, but in the guy's mind this time it was a situationship. So he was only there to connect with her for physical intimacy, for a friends with benefits, and that is how their situation started. And that is when I met my client. Now, when I met her, first I understood her whole story. And the first thing I recommended to her was, please cut communication. There was a reason for that. First of all, the big reason that was there is because as she was constantly in communication with this guy, she was constantly in this situationship. In her mind, she thought that if I stay close to him, maybe I will teach him how much I love him. On the contrary, what she was teaching him and herself is that I don't love myself. So if I actually have a want, if I have a desire towards something, just because it gets me more time with you, I will abandon my desire. I will abandon myself. I will abandon my needs so that I can keep on being in communication with you. I can keep on talking to you. I can keep on being involved with you. That is why she was constantly talking with him. The second thing that happens is because on a daily basis you are getting triggered with your physical circumstances, you will have a very difficult time trying to change your perception of the situation. So that is why pulling away from communication was very necessary. Now, this girl, she was so amazing with following instructions, and that is one thing that I loved about her. As soon as I gave her an instruction that this is what we have to do, she used to ask me, why do we have to do it? And then I used to explain it to her, this is why we have to do it. And she used to say, I am so committed to changing because when I'm taking your coaching, I am giving a lot of my financial investment. I'm giving a lot of my, mental investment. I'm giving a lot of my feelings because her family situation has gotten better. It got better at that time too, but it was not that great. So for her to actually invest in coaching at that time was a luxury, right? So, and at this time when she did that, in her mind, she felt that, if I truly am investing into this, I really need to apply the things that he's telling me. So this is where she started pulling away from that. Now here we started working on her self-concept. We started working on the basics of her confidence. We did a little bit of inner child work. We also started to develop her perceptions towards men because her perceptions towards men were absent. There were no negative perceptions, but there were no positive perceptions because her father was very absent, not because he wanted to be, but because his financial issues was forcing him to be. So as this situation started going ahead, eventually this girl pulled away from this guy and she started working on herself a lot. I think they were in a no contact situation for around 3 months till one day this guy suddenly reached out to her and told her that, hey, I have been thinking about you all this while. I don't know what is happening. For the past 3 months, all I have been thinking about is you. You see, when you say that there is no movement, this is how movement behind the scenes looks like. That in your mind, you might feel that, oh, thing is changing. But things are ever changing. This guy was constantly thinking about her for 3 months. He was just not reaching out. Probably at that time, if he would have reached out at the start of the first month or the second month, the situation wouldn't have turned well. Why? Because when he was thinking about her, he also had to deal with his issues, which he was doing behind the scenes. So him reaching out earlier wouldn't have actually solved her problem. It would have delayed it. That is why for her to pull away from that and for her to stay patient was very important. Now, as this guy came back and they started their situation, so she said that, let's date and see if we are still a match because I have worked on myself a lot to get back into the same situation. I know that I had some faults when it comes to the relationship, but I know that I'm not the only one. I know that the situation was not working from both ends. And because of this, I also want to see if you have changed enough to be in a healthier dynamic with me. So they started dating. Their dating cycle went a little bit better. Now, as they started dating, they started getting into a commitment relationship. So they got into a committed romantic relationship. So first it was a relationship, then it turned into a situationship, then it turned into no contact, then it turned into a relationship again, right? After their relationship went ahead, of course, there was a lot of things that we worked on in the middle. We worked on her relationship beliefs, we worked on her confidence. She also had difficulty navigating the relationship because this was her first serious relationship. So she was making a lot of mistakes. She was constantly having this urge to sabotage this situation, which she had to control. She was also having this urge to pull away from this again and again, which she had to control. Eventually, the time came where they had to now decide to get married. So, at this time, this girl didn't tell him anything. She didn't reach out to him for saying that, oh, I want to get married. She didn't send him any mixed signals. She just consistently kept working on her worth. Her whole perspective overall throughout this situation was that why wouldn't he want to marry me? I'm this amazing person. Why wouldn't he want to do that? Right? When she used to get resistance and negative thoughts, she used to tell herself that, why wouldn't this guy want to marry me? Why wouldn't he want to commit to me? Why wouldn't he want to be with me? And that was her perspective overall. Till one day this guy proposed. Remember, there was no manipulation from her end, no trying to make it happen, no sudden changes, nothing. This guy proposed on his own. Now, as this guy proposed to her, eventually she said yes, of course, but their parents were not agreeing. Their parents were not okay with this marriage, specifically the girl's parents, because they had seen that this guy, at the time that they broke up in the first place, this girl was doing miserable. And because she was doing miserable, they were not actually happy with the fact that she wanted to be married to him. At this time, again, she followed the same path. So, this is exactly what we did to convince her parents. We in the physical world did nothing. She just went to her parents and said that, hey, this is my decision and I really want to do it, but I want to do it with your support. In her mind, she thought that let me create better assumptions. So, what we focused on at this point is creating better general assumptions. My life always works out. Situations are always easy for me. Marriage is so easy for me. Love is so easy to get. My life is easy peasy. This was one of her favorite affirmations. My life is easy peasy. She used to love saying this, and she used to love saying this a lot. She's also a teacher. So because of this, she used to, say this to her kids and everything. But she used to tell herself, my life is easy peasy. My life is so easy peasy. And she used to actually, she told me, we repeat this as a prayer in our morning meetings with our children in our assemblies and everything. So this affirmation became her go-to. She actually started to work on herself. Till one day, this girl's father agreed automatically. No chasing, no manipulation. All this while, though, and I get this question a lot from a lot of people, that Karan, while this was happening behind the scenes, what was her prime focus? So this is exactly what she was focused on. Throughout the day, she used to do her affirmations. After doing her affirmations, she used to focus on herself, her hobbies. If she used to get negative thoughts, she used to apply the steps of resistance, and then throughout the day, she used to constantly repeat this affirmation to herself. My life is easy peasy. My life is going so well. Everything always works out for me. This was her major focus. Whenever she used to get a lot of negative doubts and thoughts, she used to tell herself, I will not ruminate on it. And then she used to apply my steps of resistance. If you are interested in what my steps of resistance are, there is a free video linked in the bio. You can check it out. It's a YouTube video. It's not going to take you to a landing page, so check the video out, you will learn from it. After this, they got married. Their marriage was beautiful. Now, she got married, and recently, very recently, she told me that now she's expecting a baby. Now, this was very unexpected for her, especially because she was facing some health complications. But she followed the same steps. Now, some of you will ask me, like, why did she kept working with you? Because throughout this time now, affording coaching became her life focus in such an easy way, where she thought that coaching, I can easily afford it. Why? Because at the start, at that time when she needed to invest in herself, she did, and that investment paid off because she applied it. My coaching didn't do anything magical. She applied it. She started to put it forward. And as she started to do it, she started to see the results from it. And do you see what happened? On a consistent basis, she started working on herself, and having me around working on herself as a combination, she got a lot of results for herself. Does this mean that she didn't actually feel negative at all? That's not true. She felt negative n number of times. Does this mean she didn't get resistance? No. She felt resistance n number of times. Does this mean that she didn't have breakdowns? No. She had n number of breakdowns. She just made sure that her commitment towards her new self was actually very, very sure, dedicated, and filled with determination. That's why she was able to get what she wanted fully. Now, I know that you guys will learn something from this video. I hope that you learn something from this video and apply it in your life. And I hope that you are also able to manifest things in your life the same way. I will see you guys in the next one.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe and share if you like the video. The link for my one-on-one coaching, my self-help courses, and my free newsletter are in the description box below.